it's one thing praying for guidance, and it's another thing listening to him too. You could pray for guidance, but if you don't listen to him, then it defeats the purpose. You know what I mean? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for clicking that video. This video, not that video, but this video. Thank you for clicking this video. Really, I'm just gonna get straight to the point, straight to it. This video is gonna be about how I was living in Alaska, and it was after a really crazy time in my life, how I went back to Alaska, and really just about how I started to trust God. And I'm just gonna tell you guys how everything started, okay? So, if you don't know, well, I'm pretty sure you don't know, but I was born and raised in Alaska, and I moved to Colorado in 2016. Last year in August, I went back to Alaska to visit my family. My auntie was having a baby shower, and then my cousin was getting ready to have a baby as well, and she was having a baby shower too. So pretty much, moral of the story is, my cousin and my auntie, they were both about to have babies exactly like a month apart. So I was like, I'm gonna go down there, I'm gonna help them out, I'm gonna stay for, I honestly didn't even know how long I was gonna stay. I clearly wanted to stay for both of, their births, both of my cousins' births. So I was thinking maybe like a couple months, max like 2 months. Because okay, I can't stay in Alaska for more than 2 months, because then I actually start to go crazy. So I had went to Alaska it was the end of July. It was the end of July, beginning of August. And I was also in a network marketing business. I was in Forex at this time as well. And when I went to Alaska, I had the intention of building my team out there, but I quickly realized that wasn't going to work out. I just knew it wasn't going to work out. So I eventually stopped doing Forex. Like, I would say the end of September. I knew this wasn't going to work out. And I wasn't working, of course, because I don't know if you guys know, but I mean, I'm not going to say most people. I guess it just depends on the person. But I wasn't working when I was in Forex at all. So when I went to Alaska, I didn't plan on getting a job, because I thought that when I went there, I was going to continue to do Forex. But like I said, once the end of September came, I quickly figured out that wasn't going to work out. So I actually didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know if I was going to leave Alaska. I didn't know if I was going to if I was going to start working again. I didn't know where I was going to live. I didn't know where I was going to move. I didn't know anything. I literally had no idea what my next step was going to be. And I knew that it was kind of a weird situation, because my dad and his girlfriend just had moved to Florida in August. So if I were to come back here to Colorado, I wouldn't have nowhere to live, because my parents just moved out of Colorado. And I know you guys are probably thinking, well, why don't you just go to Florida? I don't know why, but I told myself I cannot move to Florida. That was just not even an option. Florida was just not an option at the time. So I was like, okay, looks like I'm gonna stay here till I figure it out. So that's what I did. I stayed in Alaska till I figured it out. And I really never honestly figured it out. I just was taking it day by day, if I'm going to be completely honest. I was taking it day by day. And once I realized, okay, I'm not doing Forex anymore, I need to get a job. I need to start making money. So it's really crazy, because I knew that I had to get a job, but I wasn't applying for any jobs. I know that kind of is weird, because you would expect someone that is going to get a job to apply for jobs, but that is not what I did. I don't even know what the timeline was, but I was staying with my auntie, and my cousin was living there, and she was working for Capstone at the time. And I was like, oh, I don't want to work for Capstone, because she would come home and she would tell me all these stories. So I was like, oh, I'm not gonna work there. I thought okay, maybe if I literally couldn't get a job, then I would apply there, because I feel like I knew I could get a job there. But I remember Mona calling me one morning. I remember this so vividly. It was crazy. I remember her calling me one morning at like 7 a.m. And for someone that didn't have a job, I was not waking up early at all. So I was like, bro, why is she calling me this early? But she also never really calls me because like we live together, and she never really calls me early that morning. So like I knew, okay, I gotta pick this up because it's clearly something important. So I picked up the phone and she was like, hey, this lady has been calling me. She said that she is looking for a couple people that want to get a job. And I think pretty much everyone knew that I need to start working. So my cousin had my back, okay? So she was like, oh, okay. She basically told the lady, I'll reach out to my cousin and have my cousin call you. So she basically told me, call this number, call this lady, say you're looking for this person, and say that you're interested in the job that they're trying to fill positions for, whatever, okay? So I called the lady as soon as I hung up with my cousin, and I was like, hey, Nadia, my cousin, I'm not gonna say her name, but my cousin just called me and said, you guys are looking for da-da-da-da. So she was like, yes, we are. Literally, I basically applied for the job like on the phone. Like she was like, okay, send me your email. I'm gonna send you this. I'm gonna send you this. Fill out this, and if you can, come swing by the hotel that we're doing interviews at, so that way we can do an interview with you and get you all set up. So I was like, oh, perfect. Like, oh my goodness. Like, I didn't even say that. Like, I didn't even say like, oh my gosh, like, I really just basically got a job. Like in my head, I was just like going with the flow. I was like, oh, okay, I'll be there today. So I literally I was on the phone with that lady for like an hour. So at this time it's like 8 something, about to be 9 o'clock. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm about to go back to sleep. So I got up, I got ready or whatever, and I went to the hotel that they were doing the interviews at, and I basically got the job that day. And she basically told me my start date. And really what had me was the amount that they were paying per hour. This is really how I knew, like, okay, I really need to take God seriously, because this was just a blessing. Like, this is nothing but a blessing. This is not a coincidence. This is not, I got some luck one day. Like, this was straight up blessing. Like, this was just pure just blessing, okay? Nothing else but God. So when they told me how much I was going to be making, I was like, what? Like, I didn't say that, of course, but in my head, I was like, this is ridiculous. Some of my people in my life that are older don't even make this much. Like, my aunts, my uncles, it's like they don't even make this much. So I was like, this is crazy. So, and then, once I started working or whatever, another thing that was kind of crazy too is, I didn't even have to go to work every day. It was kind of an on-call job, but it was a guaranteed 40 hours a week job. So whether or not, like, if we didn't go in, we would still get paid for that day. So it was just crazy, you guys. I know you guys are probably thinking, like, is this even real? Yes, that's what I was thinking too. Like, is this even real? It's crazy. I'm just going to tell you guys how much I was getting paid, because I know you guys are probably wondering. So I was getting paid $36 an hour when I would go into work, and then $30 an hour when I was just like on call, like if I didn't go into work, pretty much. And what I was doing was I was working with COVID vaccination. So around that time of last year, that's when they had just approved for like all the kids that are 12 and under to get a vaccination. So I was like working at schools, elementary schools, but mainly I was working at the school district center, because basically like all the families would come there. Some of them would have their kids get the vaccination at school, but most of the families would come to the Anchorage School District to get their kids vaccinated. So I was doing that, and I was doing that till December 31st, because that's when the contract ended. So I was making some good money, okay? I was making some good money. But during that time, I was just praying during that time, because when I went to Alaska, I had money, but I didn't have the amount that I wanted to have. I didn't have enough to live on my own. I can tell you that pretty much. Okay. I didn't have enough to live on my own. So, and I didn't have nowhere to stay. I didn't have a car. I didn't really have anything. And for those of you guys that know, I was traveling so much with Forex that I was living out of my suitcase for like a year, pretty much. Like a year for a while. I was living out of my suitcase for about a year, and when I got to Alaska, still living out of my suitcase, because I had like the stuff that I thought I was gonna need for about 2 months. And those of you guys that know, Alaska gets cold, so I had to start buying clothes and stuff and just like a whole bunch of other stuff. But I was really praying during that time because I literally didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know where I wanted to live. I didn't know still didn't know anything. I was just working, not really knowing what to do. And I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I can't just, I don't want to say I've been going house to house for a long time, but I was dependent on other people, not like kind of in a way, but not necessarily, but in a way that living circumstances, like where I needed to live. So I was at the point where okay, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I don't want to live here, then go here, then go here. Because while I was traveling with Forex, that's like a whole different story. But once I came to Alaska and stopped traveling, I was like so exhausted from traveling, from going place to place, from going here, like constantly leaving, constantly flying. Like, I think I took like 30 flights last year. But I was like emotionally and physically drained from traveling. And I knew that I didn't want to live in Alaska. So I was like, okay, well, I'm really like screwed because I don't even know what I want to do. School is just not an option. I knew I wasn't going to go to school. I just didn't even know what I wanted to do. So I was just praying. I was praying like every day. Like, I would cry myself to sleep. Just because I was so stuck. I just felt so defeated. Like, how have I got to this point where I don't even know what I want to do anymore? Like, I literally don't even know what I want to do anymore. And it's so crazy because a lot of people would not expect that of me. I'm always the type of person, like, I know what I want to do. I plan out things. But after, I got that job, I realized like, I love this word, I can't be the CEO of my life anymore. I have to let God guide me, because clearly I thought I've been guiding myself this whole time, but how did I end up in this place where I don't know what I want to do anymore? I don't even know what the next step is. So clearly I was doing something wrong. You know what I mean? So once I got to that point, I was like, okay, I literally have to trust God with my entire life, with everything, with my finances, with where I'm going to live. Like, I have to trust him with everything, and I can't be worried anymore. Not necessarily that I was worried, but I can't be afraid. I can't be scared. I can't be stuck in this place where I feel like I'm defeated. Like, I cannot do that anymore, because I know that if I stay in that place, I will stay in that place for a very long time. And then I'll start to get depressed, which I did. I did get depressed. So, I had to like pull myself out of that, and I really just had to trust God with everything. And he showed me like, don't worry, because I got you. He showed me that when he gave me that job. So I was like, okay, if he could do that, shoot, he could do everything. He could do any and everything else. You know what I mean? So now it's December, and January. I'm saying the whole wrong month. Now it's January. I don't have a job again. I don't have a source of income. And I'm like, okay, now what am I going to do? Now I'm at the point where I started applying for jobs. And it's so funny because no one was calling me back. Like, I feel like I have pretty good experience because I was working when I was here in Colorado since I was like 16, 15. I was working for a while, and I had a couple jobs here and there, but I was just like, oh my gosh, why is no one calling me back? So this kind of made me get a little stressed, but not really, because I knew, okay, well, looks like I'm gonna have to apply for Capstone because I'm trying to leave Alaska, and I can't leave Alaska with no money. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna apply for Capstone. So I applied, and I got the job, of course. So I started working there. Let me just go back a little bit. So I want to say maybe it was like November. My auntie's husband actually let me use his car. He said, you don't need to pay for anything. You just gotta like manage it and, pay, just do your own thing, but you don't have to pay me anything. That's pretty much what he said. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that's just another blessing, because I had no car. I didn't have, first I was like, I don't really need a car, but then I was like, okay, I kind of do need a car, because if I want to work and go places or whatever, I'm going to want a car. I don't want to keep asking everyone for rides. So he actually let me use his car until I was going to leave Alaska, or until I was going to figure something out. So, which my figuring out was going to be leaving Alaska. So pretty much, like I said, until I was going to leave Alaska. And I was using his car, and then January, I think it was January 9th. I don't know the exact date. I can look, but it had to have been the first or second week of January. My cousin got murdered. And so when that happened, it was so out of the blue. I don't even know like what it was. It definitely just had to have been God, because I just told myself, like, I'm going to help my family as much as I can during this time. And when he got murdered, it was like a week before I was supposed to start working. So I was like, okay, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to help them as much as I can. I'm going to just be there for my family as much as I can during this time. And, I'll just figure out working and everything like that. And so a day before, oh my goodness, one day before, like literally the day before my first day for my job, I got into a car accident, and the person that hit me totaled my uncle's car. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is like the worst thing that could have happened at this time. Like this is like the worst thing. And then I just felt so bad, because it was not my car. I felt so bad. Like I wouldn't have cared as much if it was my own car, but when you're using somebody else's car, or when you're using any, something from that's not yours, and you like just, just something happens to it, you just feel like, I just feel like you feel 10 times worse. So the guy that hit me literally totaled my car. And if I can, I'll try to insert the clips of what the car looked like, so you guys can know the severity of it. And during this time, it was still super cold. And what's crazy was I wasn't even mad at the guy, because it was actually hit and run. And I'm not even mad at the guy because it was his fault, but it wasn't necessarily his fault, because in early January, there was black ice all over the roads in Alaska. So he basically caught some ice and couldn't stop. But he was going like so fast that it's like, if he would have not been going that fast, he wouldn't have hit me that hard. But because he was going so fast, and if you don't know, whenever you are sliding on ice, I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but whenever you're sliding on ice, you're not supposed to press on your brakes. And I could tell he was pressing on his brakes, because when you're on ice, you're supposed to pump your brakes, and that's how you slow down. So I could tell he didn't do that. So he hit me really hard anyways, totaled the car a day before I had to start working. And since I had enough saved up, I just told myself, like, okay, don't stress about it. Like, that's the last thing you want to do right now is stress about a car. So I was just like telling myself every single day, don't stress about it. It's okay. But another thing too is I realized that I didn't really have time to stress about my car, because I was in the process of planning my cousin's funeral. So I was like so worried about that I didn't even care about the car anymore. After I had apologized to my uncle, I gave him money, and he like sent me the money back, and I was like, no, please take the money. He wouldn't even take the money. But after all that, I told him, and that was like a day, I was like, okay, I'm not about to stress myself out about this car. And so after that, I was literally taking lifts to work every single day, like to work and back every single day, unless like, maybe my cousin would come pick me up, or my auntie would come pick me up, or whatever. Then of course I wouldn't take an Uber. But it's so crazy, because where I was working was close to my cousin's mom's house. So sometimes I would just try to go there after work, or like tell someone to pick me up or whatever, and just like be with my family. And so that kind of like ended up working out because I was really close to his mom's house, to my cousin's house. And so just that whole period of time was just really, really rough. I don't think I've ever experienced someone dying to me that close, besides my cousin previously that also got murdered, but I wasn't in Alaska during that time. So I think that's why it didn't affect me that much, is because I wasn't in Alaska. But I was in Alaska this time, which is so sad to say, but yeah, I was in Alaska and I was able to help out as much as I could. And during that time, I was actually working 12-hour shifts. So it was so like, I'm so thankful that I didn't get fired, because I didn't really understand, but now I understand that I was definitely grieving, because I would call in like at least once a week while I was planning his funeral and everything. Like I got super sick and I had to call out for a whole week. I was like late at least once a week. Like I was late all the time. I was calling in, you know, I had to tell them, okay, I can't come in for this week. Like just like stuff like that was just happening so much. And it was because like, I haven't really told a lot of people this, but I was like getting really bad nightmares. So like I literally couldn't wake up. And so that's why I was like late or like calling in, is because I literally couldn't wake up. And by the time I woke up, I was like, it's not even worth it to go to work. So I'm just going to call in. So I would do that a lot. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, I'm so surprised they have not fired me yet. But I was getting like written up all the time. I wasn't even worried about the write-ups or nothing, because I was like, if y'all haven't fired me, then I'm gonna just bag the write-ups, like, you know. So that happened. And so at the, you know, after his funeral and everything, I really told myself, okay, it's time to go. It is time to leave. I don't care where you go. Like, I don't care. It doesn't even matter, but you have to leave. You have to leave Alaska. You have to leave Alaska, because I could tell after, you know, his death, like I was mentally starting to go downhill. So I was like, okay, I have to leave. I have to. It wasn't necessarily like the people in Alaska, but it was the environment. So I knew that I had to switch my environments if I wanted to be healthier, if I wanted my mental to be better, like just in general. I just knew I needed to change of environment. So I actually asked my cousin if I could live with her, and she was down for it. She was like, yes, like, come on. She lives in Oregon, and she was flying to Alaska. Well, she stayed in Alaska for like a couple months, like 3 months, I think it was, or 2.5 months. Because my cousin that had died, that was her nephew. So she was, you know, she was planning the funeral. She was like the manager. She was like planning everything. And I was just like helping her plan everything. So I had asked her, I was like, okay, please, cousin, can I live with you? And she lives in Oregon. She was down for it. So once I put in my 2 weeks, well, before I put in my 2 weeks, I was applying for jobs in Oregon, and I was getting callbacks. I even had like 2 interviews. No, I had like, not 2. I had like 5 interviews. Like, I want to say 7 people called me back. So I was like, okay, this has to be it, right? I was like, okay, like people are calling me back. Like, you know, I'm good. Like, I already have, you know, I basically already have a couple jobs lined up. It's really just like, okay, I just need to choose between one of them or whatever. And I just need to pack all my stuff and leave. I just had so much stuff. So I had to, you know, send a couple suitcases this week and then send a couple suitcases that week. And then I had to take a suitcase with me. It was just like so much. So I didn't ask God if I wanted to live with her. So one day when I was applying for more jobs, it was like in the middle of the night. It had to been like 1 a.m., 12 a.m. or something like that. I was applying for jobs, and I remember God telling me, like, stop applying for jobs. Like, that is exactly what he said. He said, stop applying for jobs. And I was like, okay. And I was like, dang, like, okay. And he said, like, you didn't ask me if this is where, you know, I want you to live. I was like, I'm sorry, you know, my bad. And he didn't necessarily tell me where he wanted me to live in that specific moment, but I knew I pretty much knew because I had all my tickets like lined up already. Like I had bought all my tickets or whatever. So I was planning to, so I went from Alaska to Florida because my cousin was getting a surgery done and I was going with her. And not only that, but my dad lives there, my little brother lives there, and my stepmom's family lives there or whatever. So I was like, okay, perfect. Like this is just a win-win. Like I can go with her to get her surgery done and I can visit my family and my little brother and stuff. So I went from Alaska to Florida. I stayed in Florida for like a week and a half, I think, or like maybe, I think it was like a week and a half, maybe like a week and a couple days. And so after that, I was planning to go from Florida to Colorado because I wanted to visit my auntie for a couple days. And I was planning to surprise her. So I came here like right after Florida, whatever. And I stayed here for like 3 days. And I was like, okay, this is where I have to live. And at the time, I still haven't told my cousin that I can't live with her. So it's crazy because I just spent a whole week and a half with her in Florida. And I was like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to say this to her. I don't know how I'm going to break it to her, but I can't live with her. And so I still didn't tell her because I was just like so scared to tell her. And I didn't end up telling her till a day before I was coming because I was going to go from Florida to Colorado. Then I was going to go to Oregon. And so I literally told her a day before I was coming. I was like, I have something to tell you. And I just told her and she was totally understanding. I was so mad because I should have told her a long time ago. Isn't that like how it always is? Like you're always scared to do something and then it just like happens like the complete opposite of how you thought it was going to happen or how you expected it to happen. But yeah, so she was like totally understanding, but I told her, I was like, hey, I'm going to come there for a week so we can, spend some time together or whatever. And not only that, but half of my luggage was at her house because her friend had brought it down for me. And so either way, I still had to go there to pick up my luggage, regardless of anything. So I went there, whatever, stayed there for a week, and it was super fun. Listen, my cousin is like one of the best cooks ever. My mom's side of the family can cook really good. I'm not gonna say my dad's side of the family can't cook, but it's just two different types of cooking. My dad's family is from the South or from the East Coast, whatever. They're Black, they cook soul food. And then my mom's side of the family is like Caribbean, so they cook a lot of Caribbean stuff. So I just love Caribbean food. I'm kind of over the whole soul food thing now. I don't know, I'm just like tired of it. But yeah, so I was eating good every single day, okay? And so I left, I came back here, and I was kind of like in the same, I don't want to say the same place because I'm definitely in a way, way, way better environment. But as far as financially, I knew that I needed to get a job again. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to start applying and stuff like that. And it was definitely crazy, but I'll explain. That's just like a whole nother story. That's like a whole nother video. But the moral of the story, the theme of this story is basically, trusting God and listening to him, because I can only imagine like where I would be if I didn't listen to him. And it didn't come easy. I would definitely say that. When I was younger, I didn't really know how to listen to God. So, while I was in Alaska, I'm like so grateful that I got the opportunity to, even go there, because it really taught me that I need God in all aspects of my life. I think I was just living life without him. And I kind of got used to making my own decisions. And then I quickly realized that making my own decisions is not going to work anymore. I'm going to have to rely on him for everything. That's the only way this is going to work. So once I started to realize that, then I was like, okay, I don't really know how this is going to work. Like it's just, you just have to have a relationship with God to understand how he communicates with you. I'm not going to tell you because he might not communicate with you that way, but just pray about it. You have to pray about it, because that's the only way you're going to be able to build that relationship with God, is by praying about it. That's the only thing that I can say, is pray about it, pray about it, pray about it. Prayer goes a long way. It goes definitely a long way. And so I'm just so grateful that, I was able to pray and ask him for guidance, for, just for guidance, really, so he can guide my life and so he could lead me. And I also prayed to, help me to listen to you as well, because it's one thing praying for guidance and it's another thing listening to him too. You could pray for guidance, but if you don't listen to him, then it defeats the purpose. You know what I mean? So really just pray, ask God for guidance if you're struggling in any areas of your life, because I promise you, he is going to come through. Okay. He's going to come through. But that is the end of this video. I feel like this video was kind of long, but I really just wanted to share something with you guys so that way you guys can understand, where I'm at in my life at the moment. And I really hope you guys learned something from this video, enjoyed this video, enjoyed listening to me talk about my life. But other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Love is so mine in a million.